I'm going to be the first to admit that I've always been the girl that went with the flow with regards Rory's boyfriends. When they showed up, I was down for them because at each point the show was very clear on why Rory was attracted to them, which made rooting for their relationship somewhat easier. Now, have I made it quite clear on my channel that I've always been Team Logan first, with Jess a close second and Dean a distant third? Yes. Not going to lie, I still believe that Logan was and is the best fit for Rory. And I know, I promised you all a video on that. I am working on it. But even though I came to the conclusion that Logan was the best for Rory, and if he doesn't exist, then Jess is easily second best, I had always known that if neither Jess nor Logan existed, then for me it would never have been Dean. And the reason why I'm so clear on that is because of Gilmore Girls Season 1, Episode 14, titled That Damn Donna Reed. Earlier on in the episode, Dean is at Lorelai and Rory's home as the three of them sit and watch reruns of the Donna Reed show. Lorelai and Rory do the thing where they're twinning and quippy and witty as they mock the unrealistic expectations and portrayal that is present within the show, i.e. the Donna Reed show. Dean, on the other hand, totally ignoring the type of women that Lorelai and Rory clearly are, proceeds to object to their mockery, saying that he doesn't know, but to him he finds it kinda nice. Families hanging together, a wife cooking dinner for her husband, all the whilst looking really happy. As you all can guess, the expression on my face as Dean was talking was exactly the same one that Lorelai and Rory had listening to him talk. And of course, he continues talking about what if the wife loves making dinner for her family and keeping things nice for them. At this point, I have a second eyebrow raised very high, which, when I think about it, was justified because Dean then hits Rory and Lorelai with the combo of, I feel very unpopular right now. And whilst I watched Rory talk to Dean about how she's very disturbed by the show's portrayal of women and housewives and the unrealistic expectation it set up for them, a part of me had checked out whilst I was watching the episode. Like, I had separated from my body to head to another corner of my brain where I tried piecing together what on earth Dean was talking about. Because sure, he is a 16-year-old boy without much of a life experience and so therefore was working with his home life and what he knows, i.e. the way his mother cares for her family. But at the same time, that conversation revealed to us, the audience, what it was that he actually wanted on a subconscious level. Like, I'm not saying that Dean is wrong to want what he wants. There are women who do take joy in being stay-at-home moms and full-time housewives. Of course, unless they are Brie Vanderkam, the lot of them are not doing so with perfect hair and wearing pearls and heels with a smile to match. But there are women like that. Matter of fact, Dean married one of such women. Did he cherish her though? Did he stay with her? No, he did not. But we'll get to that in a bit, as this episode and what happens afterwards with Lindsay confirmed the hypothesis I made in the title of the video, which is that Dean Forrester doesn't know what he wants and so therefore could never have been endgame with Rory. But back to the episode. For me, it already started to show the cracks in Rory and Dean's relationship and the impossibility of a future between them, as we started to see how different Dean's philosophy was from Rory's, which in turn hinted on how terrible a match they would be. But back to the episode. Whilst we were regaled with yet another case of just kiss already between Lorelai and Luke, Rory meanwhile was asked by Babette to help watch over her house and her new kitten so she and Maury could go to another town where he can play jazz or stand in for a Slenderman role depending on whichever one would earn him a bit more money. Now, quick aside, I just love how Babette and Maury are so cookie and perfect for each other. That is what a healthy relationship with two people who connect seamlessly on a fundamental level looks like. Anyway, Rory invites Dean over to help, and when she asks him what time he starts work, he responds with the most irritating line of 4 p.m. on Thursdays. For some reason, Thursdays are really busy. Lots of oppressed housewives shopping for their husband's dinner. Which for me was the second strike for Dean in the episode. Like, bruh, what? For real, you are going to choose to be snappy right now? But then at the same time, I remember that he is a child. After all, he's only, 16, 17. But what then made things so much worse for me personally as I was watching was after Rory calls him out on it, he tries to play it off like he was joking and she was the one being extra sensitive. And it just once again showed just how petty a person Dean is. Because as much as later on in the episode he comes around to telling Rory that he understands her point and agrees with them, after Rory, of course, dresses up as Donna Reed and basically cooks and cares for Dean whilst they are in Babette's house. She's house sitting, remember? And she even refuses to let Dean do the dishes as she just wants to take care of her man. Not my proudest moment, but I will admit that scene had me singing the Destiny's Child song. Remember it? Let me cater to you, 'cause baby, this is your day. Do anything for my man. Baby, you blow me away. I got your slippers, your dinner, your dessert, and so much more. Anything you want, just let me cater to you. Anyway, Dean basically apologizes and tells Rory that she doesn't have to change or become Donna Reed, as he likes her just as she is. And Rory, meanwhile, is excited because everything with their fight meant that she got to do research into Donna Reed, who she finds very impressive and admirable, as she was an uncredited producer and director on the TV show, which made her one of the first women TV executives, of course. The episode never really addresses the fact that that is the core of the issue. Donna Reed having to put in all that work and effort only to not get credit for said work, which actually aligns with Rory's point that the show is inherently misogynistic. However, that isn't Gilmore Girl's concern. At some point, Lorelai drops by, sees Rory in the outfit, and busts a gut laughing, which valid as hell, Lorelai Gilmore. Please laugh at your daughter some more, because what on earth was she thinking? Anyway, as I was saying at the start of the video, that damn Donna Reed was the episode that helped me realize just how terrible a match Dean was for Rory. She's the type of person, a young woman, who wants to go out into the world to see it and work within it. I mean, her dream had always been to become a reporter in the likes of Christiana Amanpour, and that does not having dinner waiting on the table for the husband and kids make. Now, I'm sure there are people who are probably watching this right now and are insisting that, well, Dean was a 16-year-old child. He was just doing some wish fulfillment and didn't really mean it. And is it possible that I'm judging him too harshly? And in that case, I would like to bring on Exhibit B, is marriage to Lindsay. Now, you can say that Lindsay was the woman he settled for after Rory broke his heart and chose Jess over him. And maybe psychologists would postulate that because of that heartbreak, he decided to go for a woman that was miles different from Rory in his bid to get over Rory and get over the hurt. But I also think that it was very telling that the woman he ended up marrying was the exact same type of woman who is happy to serve meals to her family with a smile on her face after a hard day. Lindsay isn't someone with ambitions or a go-getter, like her mother confirms this. She, from the glimpse we see of her, is someone who is pretty happy to be at home and to take care of her home and her husband. And yet, what does Dean do after he's gotten this amazing girl who is just like his mother, i.e. able and willing to cook and care for the family for him when he's back home after a busy day? He cheats on her with Rory Gilmore. Now, this is not me attempting to absorb Rory of her share of the blame in the matter, of course. She, like a spoiled child, saw that Dean was gone and wanted her Dean back and didn't at the time care about who would be hurt in the process. Dean, though, is the one who is married to Lindsay. He is the one who took the vow and the one who got to have the woman willing to give him the kind of life he had blotted out he wanted in Gilmore Girls Season 1, Episode 14. Because I think it's important to remember how that episode wraps up. At no point in there does Dean actually say that he doesn't want a wife like Donna Reed. He doesn't ever admit that there might be something wrong with that lifestyle, because to be fair, there isn't really. There are women for whom that is what they want and that is their choice. I respect that. And Dean doesn't say that he doesn't want that. What he instead admits to is that that isn't the life for Rory, and he doesn't want her to change to become a Donna Reed for him. And so, like I was saying, Dean is the one who took the vow, who seemingly got what he had said he wanted back in the episode, and who, when Rory came crooking her finger at him, he immediately sank his marriage to hell in order to have an affair with her. An affair that still didn't last long either, because when he runs into Logan and the rest of the Life and Death Brigade squad at Richard and Emily Gilmore's home and sees how at home and at ease Rory is, how she really is a part of that world, he realizes that he doesn't belong with her, that who she is someone who would always be out of reach for him, and he walks away. Now, that scene is one that I always find heartbreaking, not for Rory, who is crying, although I know why she's hurt and in pain, even though technically we can already see the traces of her starting to fall for Logan and being unwilling to admit it, but I found it particularly heartbreaking for Dean as a character, because that just perfectly captured how much Dean doesn't know what he wants. How he kept bumbling about until it cost him his marriage to a great girl for a facade at a relationship with his dream girl, only to realize that the reason why she's his dream girl is because that is all she is. A dream. One that would forever be out of reach for him. And before anyone says that, well, it's because of their difference in social economic status, I disagree with that. Jess isn't on the same social economic level with Rory, but he's always looked at her as an equal and seen her. It's why he's a close second for me. Dean, however, can't, because Dean Forrester is a character who is kind and sweet, yes, but he's also a character who doesn't actually know what he wants. And there is such a tragedy in that, in how he keeps ruining his own life, because by the time he finally comes around to the conclusion of what it is that he does want, it's already too late. And I personally just find that a tad bit sad. But of course, those are just my thoughts and opinions. I would, as always, love to hear yours. Do you agree with me or disagree with me on the point that Dean honestly didn't know what he wanted, and that was part of the tragedy of his relationship with Rory and why he could not actually be endgame with her? Or do you think I'm just talking out of my ass? Either way is fine, of course. I am perfectly fine and open with those who disagree with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if you've watched this far and haven't done so yet. Share this if you want. Support me on Patreon if you can. If you cannot, however, do consider checking out my other channels. One of them is a gaming channel where I put up my gameplay videos, and the other is my ASMR channel for those who find my voice soothing and love hearing stories about myth and folktales. I have the links to my other channels in the description box if you are so inclined. Whichever the case may be, however, I will see you on Monday with a new video. Until then, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.